Oh no, she's done it again. Meghan Markle has just made the judge of Australian MasterChef, a household name, beloved figure in Australia, Ling, Yeow, cry during filming. And all of this shocking information, including these pictures showing that vile look, the type of look that she used to shoot at Catherine and Prince Harry all the time, just days before the airing of the show, which was meant to be a big moment for the fake Duchess. But Harry Meghan's spare pointed out Meghan, the bully, Markle strikes again. This time, the latest person caught in the crossfire is Ling Yeow. It seems Meghan is back to throwing her weight around as though she's the one calling all the shots. How many bullying allegations does this make? I've lost count. And actually, Ms. Booch said, oh my God, I think the magazine that said Meghan made poor Poe cry is believable because holy shit, someone caught a shot of her mask slip at Poe and M looked pissed. And here is the reporting from New Idea. And I have to say, New Idea gets a bad rap. It's a magazine I've known a long time. Big deal down under. And it gets a bad rap, but actually its reporting in this case was very fair. They were not being particularly sensationalist, but they do reveal that things were so bad that the producers had to step in several times, with behind-the-scenes sources revealing that while things looked picture perfect on screen, tensions were simmering beneath the surface. A bit like her spread, I guess. According to New Ideas insiders, the dynamics on set didn't always match what viewers will see in the final edit. Several of the contestants frequently gravitated towards Judge Ling Yeow for reassurance and feedback rather than focusing solely on Meghan as the headline guest. That's according to a spy on the show. It was a bit awkward. At times, this source insisted you could tell Meghan was wondering what was going on. Don't miss a single update on the stories that actually matter. I'm breaking down the news every day, so make sure you subscribe to never miss a beat. Click that subscribe button right now. But they haven't just spoken to one person, so this isn't just a disgruntled anti-Markle member of the cast, because a second insider adds that there was an early expectation that Meghan would be the central focus of the day, but the reality on set was even more uneven. So basically, the contestants clearly loved this judge far more than they loved Meghan, and Meghan didn't like that. So the source said that the producers stepped in several times to keep filming on track. After all, Meghan is one of the biggest international guests the show has ever secured, so it was important she be a key part of the episode. But New Ideas reporting continued. Perhaps the most uncomfortable moment came after the cameras stopped rolling when promotional material touting Meghan's upcoming appearance saw Poe introducing her as royalty. And you'll remember the reporting was that her team were frustrated about that, and they were outside the studio when the introduction happened, and Poe was upset because she didn't realize that by using the word royalty, she'd gone against Meghan's wishes. And you can't blame her, can you, given the actual feature of the show, which Meghan's team had all signed off, was a segment called A Dish Fit for a Duchess. The source says it wasn't about Meghan personally. Poe felt she had been unintentionally drawn into a royal protocol issue she never intended to be a part of. A different insider shared a lighter observation about Poe's personality on set, saying Poe is full of energy, she's always joking and lifting the mood. She tried to bring that same spark with Meghan, cracking a few playful lines, but not all of it landed as intended. It's difficult, isn't it, if you're a kind woman and you're dealing with a woman-hating bitch? Some of those moments didn't quite translate on camera, so they ended up on the cutting room floor. It's just her way of keeping things light, even when the pressure is on. Despite the awkward moments and behind-the-scenes pressure, sources insist there was no major conflict, describing the day as a typical high-stakes television production. It wasn't major drama, just a few awkward moments during filming that were adjusted in the final edit. That's what you call a PR desperately trying to not lie to one of their journalistic contacts while also acknowledging that something very bad had gone on. Their final line added that Meghan was a great guest, and we feel very lucky that she agreed to appear on the show. But of course, Meghan couldn't just leave it at that. She couldn't just accept, okay, there was some bad behavior, Poe ended up upset. No. She has had to turn this now into an international omni-shambles, with her people immediately rushing to one of her favorite publications, Page 6, in the New York Post, and insisting that Poe was wrong to be upset. And this is the problem, isn't it? Are you a woman that believes in the validity of other women's feelings, or are you someone that actually thinks you're always right? Because this source close to Meghan Markle told Page Six that the Duchess and Poe actually had a great time together on set. The source added there was no frustration on Meghan's side about anything that was said on set. Oh, really? Really? Are you sure? Because Poe doesn't seem to think so. And as the Royal News Network pointed out, yikes, this already sounds like a train wreck for Meghan. And she also, Brittany of the Royal News Network, also pointed out that this choice of thumbnail by Channel 10 News, remember Channel 10 is the broadcaster airing this show on Sunday night in Australia, seems rather fitting. Meghan's expression is so incredibly forced and teetering on manic. And the problem is this isn't just a one-off. As Milano pointed out, once a bully, always a bully. Isn't that right? And Milano has produced a quite astonishing video which reveals that over a long period of time, across multiple continents, multiple countries, there have been a long, long list of Meghan's victims. And you remember, I'm very personally close to this because I was the first person to ever reveal the fallout between Meghan Markle and Catherine, the Princess of Wales. This was way back in 2018 when no one knew any of this publicly. Only people within the royal family knew the way that Meghan was going on about people within the British royal family. And Catherine had turned on Meghan Markle specifically because of the way that she was bullying staff within the grounds of Kensington Palace. Of course, at the time, you saw Meghan try and say that this was all part of a witch hunt and was courtiers working against her with people like me. But indeed, as soon as she moved to Hollywood, we saw the same thing with astonishing reports coming from Vanity Fair and Hollywood Reporter, and then the damning accusations from Dr. Sophie Chandoka of the Centre Bali organisation, which are now due to be heard in court. That's before you get to Valentine Lowe in his book Courtiers. Remember, he is the reporter that actually revealed the HR documentation between senior palace officials, revealing that there had been a number of HR complaints as a result of Meghan Markle's bullying of people, including PAs, that they were wanting to investigate. So the question posed by Milano is whether this behaviour has been enabled by Prince Harry over a long period of time. Well, I would argue, yes, of course it has. Others close to Harry would say, well, maybe he's a victim of the bullying too. But what is quite astonishing, as Milano points out here, is that someone who constantly talks about online bullying is actually one of the biggest bullies in the world and has a whole network of bullies operating on her behalf as part of the Sussex squad. So there I present the evidence. Now let me bring in royal author, Lady Colin Campbell. Lady C, look, if this was a one-off situation, you'd think, oh, maybe these two just had a personality clash, right? I mean, I don't know this Poe, okay? I don't know Poe. Maybe she's a bit of a cow too, but that isn't my understanding, Lady C. She seems to be an incredibly popular figure in Australia. And given Meghan's track record, I am inclined to believe that these sources to New Idea are correct. She was simply trying to make Meghan feel comfortable, trying to be warm, and you saw that look. Meghan hated her. The latest bombshells from Harry and Meghan that the Montecito Mafia and the rest of the media are desperate to hide. Subscribe right now for the real story with zero spin and zero censorship.
Well, I actually think that Poe was somebody with a naturally more effervescent and ebullient personality than Meghan's, and that Meghan can't stand anybody who outstrips her in any way, shape, or form, and that she immediately had her competitive vibes and antennae up, and she was about to annihilate Poe and did everything she could to sort of discomfit her, so that, I mean, Dan, you are a part of the entertainment world. You know that there are many very effervescent people. And even if somebody is not naturally effervescent, they go along with the flow and it makes for a far more interesting and vital show. Well, Meghan made sure that that absolutely wasn't going to happen because she wasn't going to have Poe outstrip her. So all of Poe's jokes evidently landed like thuds. And it's very easy to curdle milk. And Meghan curdles milk at the drop of a hat. And I think that's what was really happening. And as for the excuse that she was introduced as royalty, I mean, you and I both know that if Meghan had truly objected to that introduction, she could have very simply got them to redo the introduction. So, I mean, it's all smoke and mirrors, and as usual, a whole load of rubbish about nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know what you think, but I think that's it in a nutshell.
It has happened again, and this time, the backstage fireworks erupted in Melbourne on the set of MasterChef Australia. Just days ahead of the show's broadcast, explosive reports out of Australia allege that Meghan Markle's on-set demands and cold posture left beloved host Ling Yeow visibly shaken and in tears during filming. Insiders reveal behind-the-scenes producers had to intervene multiple times as tensions boiled beneath the polished exterior. From awkward protocol clashes over the word royalty to allegations of passive-aggressive glances, Montecito's PR machine was forced to launch emergency counter-briefings to page 6 and People magazine. The story first broke via Australian outlet New Idea, detailing what went on behind closed doors during filming at the Melbourne showgrounds. While Channel 10 teasers present a picture-perfect visit, set sources describe a far more uncomfortable reality once the cameras stopped rolling. According to multiple behind-the-scenes sources, the dynamic on set was uneven from the moment Meghan stepped into the kitchen. Contestants naturally gravitated toward Judge Ling Yeow for genuine warmth, encouragement, and culinary feedback rather than focusing entirely on Meghan. An insider revealed. It was a bit awkward at times. You could tell Meghan was wondering what was going on. Producers stepped in several times to keep filming on track because Meghan was the major international draw.
Well, look, my belief, Lady C, is that this show actually contravenes the Sandringham Summit Agreement. And it was nothing to do with poor Poe saying royalty. It was to do with the fact that the entire challenge was called a dish fit for a duchess. So there she is using her royal title. And my understanding, Lady C, is she wasn't doing this show for altruistic reasons. She was doing it for a big, fat paycheck from Channel 10. Now, her people and Channel 10 have not confirmed nor denied whether she was paid for this show. But Lady C, you know how this works. If this was a charitable project, if she was donating her fee, for example, to a particular organization that she was passionate about, that would have been publicized. That would have been part of the TV show. So I believe she contravened the Sandringham Summit directly anyway by using her Duchess title in order to make money in the entertainment industry. So the fact poor Poe mentioned the word royalty is totally irrelevant to that. It's the use of the word and the term Duchess as part of a challenge in a reality TV show, which I think would have left the late Queen Elizabeth II completely horrified.
Oh, but let's also remember, Dan, that this was a part of a semi-official, almost state visit by these two pretentious pifflers who have no royal status anymore. And let's remember also that Harry has made it clear that they are working royals and that they've torn up the Sandringham Agreement. And he had started to make it clear while they were in Australia, while this was being filmed. So all of this it's their behavior synchronizes with not only bullying, but disrespecting the Sandringham Agreement and trying to revise it so that they will be allowed to use their royal status to make money. And Meghan and Harry are both great denialists. So at the very moment that they have their hand deep in your pocket, they're saying, oh, we're not thieves. No, we're massaging your leg. Now let's get to the wallet.
Indeed. Now, Lady C, I'm so sorry that I hadn't mentioned this earlier, but I just thought, oh my goodness, Lady C's in hospital. And I just had to get through that story. But please tell me, this is for the new operation on your hip. Is that right? There's nothing more.
I had it. It's done.
Oh, it's done. You've had it.
done. I had a total hip replacement.
And how did it go?
Well, they're very pleased,
Okay.
but it's far more serious than just an ordinary hip replacement because of the damage that was done before. And so it's a lot more painful and it's a lot more arduous. But I tell you, compared to what happened the last time, it's an absolute doddle. And I'm very grateful for the fact that things are hopefully going to be much improved. And it's very painful at the moment, but hopefully after I've got over this hurdle, I'll be able to have less pain and walk better. And then I'll be able to put much of this behind me, but not all of it, because I'm having to deal with the lawyers of the other side to try
Because
to
of
get
course you had this terrible fall. For people who don't know, you were at a film premiere and there was a step that was pretty much hidden in the dark, and you had this absolutely horrendous fall during the film premiere last year. Don't miss a single update on the stories that actually matter. I'm breaking down the news every day, so make sure you subscribe to never miss a beat. Click that subscribe button right now.
Yeah, but what has happened is that the clients, not their lawyers and not their insurers, have been trying to harass me and have been stupid enough to try to use the newspapers to reach me and harass me. And what they didn't realize is that there's nothing that any newspaper, that anybody tries to plant a lie about me, which is what they've tried to do on 2 separate occasions, to sort of somehow make out things that are totally false. And they have tried to plant these lies. And what they don't understand is that because of Fleet Street's experience with me, they never, ever treat me as if I'm just another punter, and that any approach is done for the press itself, of the publication itself, to cover itself so that it won't fall foul of my 50 years of litigation against them. And so they haven't realized that. And they thought they were able to plant stories and tell lies about me and harass me in the process and get away with it. And of course, it's not happened, because there's an absolute paper trail, because the newspapers don't contact me directly. They do it through my agents. And so there is a total paper trail of the harassment that they have been about, and I have demanded of them that they give me an undertaking to cease harassing me, because I'm not going to have, if they've done it twice, they could do it a third or a fourth time, and I'm not being subjected to such behavior by people who have actually tremendously damaged my life. And rather than trying to be decent about it, or trying to somehow trash it further, I think I'm so outraged about the whole thing, I can't tell you. But that's aside from what...
When Poe tried to lighten the mood with her trademark energy and playful banter, her jokes reportedly landed like lead weights. Sources describe moments where Meghan's icy reactions created such dead air that whole sequences had to be relegated to the cutting room floor. The main conflict erupted over a single word used in the promotional intro. In the teaser clip, Poe enthusiastically introduced the guest. "We've had royalty in the MasterChef kitchen before, but no one like this. All the way from sunny California, please welcome the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle." Reports instantly surfaced that Meghan's team was very frustrated because they had explicitly instructed producers not to use the term royalty. Poe was left deeply upset, feeling dragged into a high-stakes royal protocol issue she had no intention of sparking. As soon as the Australian press broke the story, Team Sussex activated their classic emergency PR protocol. Within hours, sources close to Meghan rushed to page 6 in People, insisting that Meghan and Poe had a great time and that claims of frustration were completely false. However, media commentators quickly pointed out, if everything was so seamless, why does every single international production Meghan touches leave behind a trail of leaking insiders and upset production staff?
Well, shame on them. Shame on them. Do not mess with our Lady C. And Lady C, can I also just say, you have the type of work ethic that puts Prince Harry and Meghan Markle to shame, because I thought you were just going to wait. You were awaiting the surgery, but you've actually had the surgery. Incredible. Lady C, I have to ask you about this big story that's blown up after our episode of Outspoken yesterday. Oprah Winfrey so clearly trying to backtrack on this interview with Meghan Markle. Now, you posted on X, it's intriguing to see how the worm turns and wriggles when it's been caught out and is intent on pretending that it's noble instead of the debased creature it is. Several years later, too late, you ask with a question mark, Oprah Winfrey is trying to salvage the wreckage of her journalistic reputation, which she is responsible for, when she sat by and allowed Meghan Markle and Prince Harry to brazenly lie in that infamous interview when the con artist par excellence asserted that the palace wouldn't be granting Archie the title of prince because of concerns over the darkness of his skin color. A total lie. They would have been thrilled if there'd been a little more counterbalance. Now Oprah Winfrey is trying to pretend that the soft ride she gave was journalistic integrity instead of the racist solidarity that it in fact was. And Lady C, you go on, and I would love you to explain this, that you had your own personal experience with Oprah Winfrey back in 1993. And as a result, you've never trusted this woman. Long before this interview, Lady C, you did not trust Oprah.
Well, in 1993, I was approached again through my representatives, and then they put me on to, and in those days, Oprah worked out of Chicago, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's right. She always filmed her show there, actually. Always.
Oh, did she? Well, but I had already committed to doing something in Hollywood with another, at the same time, another show. And they wanted me. I don't remember why they wanted me now, it's so long ago, but they desperately wanted me. And they were prepared to pay very handsomely to have me. And I said, I'm sorry, I can't. I've committed to this other show. And I don't accept a better invitation, sort of thing. You stick by what you've committed to.
Absolutely.
And they then turned rather nasty and said to me, well, we're the Oprah show and blah, blah, blah. And I don't remember what it was called now or any of it. But I do remember them saying, if you don't do this, and we need you to do it, and if you don't do it, we're going to blacklist you and you will never have you on again. I said, my dear, if that's your attitude, please feel free to never have me on again, because I certainly wouldn't want to go on to a show with people who thought they were going to be able to blackmail and bully me. Absolutely not. I said, so you can forget ever asking me on again, because I'll never come on again. And I just thought it was the behavior was so arrogant and so impertinent, and they were just going to ride a roughshod over this other show as well. And I thought, and then I checked it out, because of course, being Jamaican, I have friends who know Oprah in the Black community. And they said, oh, she's not made all that money by being a nice person, sort of thing. They said she's absolutely ruthless, and she will have been behind it. She wanted you at any price, and she expected to get you at any price, and she didn't get me. But I think what she's doing with the Harry and Meghan situation is too little, too late.
Okay, Lady C, before you go on, just hold that thought, because in case people missed it yesterday, Lady C, go on.
Absolute bollocks. Bollocks.
So she's saying that this was the equivalent of actually asking genuine journalistic follow-up questions. Go figure.
Such as, let's remember, Meghan's precursor had been that the royal family would not give Archie the title of prince because they were concerned about that he would be too dark. On the contrary, my understanding is that as far as they were concerned, Archie couldn't have been dark enough no matter how dark he was, it was going to be good from their point of view. I mean, the only thing Meghan had going for her was what in Jamaica they'd call that little touch of the tar brush. You know, she had nothing else going for her. She was totally, I mean, had Meghan not been partly sub-Saharan African, the marriage would never have proceeded, because they knew so much about her, and they knew what a dubious character she was. But nobody could believe that Meghan would actually use her little bit of African heritage to try to destroy the reputation of the royal family. And Oprah is only too aware of the fact that Meghan absolutely, because Oprah is supposed to be a reputable journalist, and Oprah will have known, and if she didn't know, she should have known, and certainly Harry and Meghan will have known, that under the 1917 rulings from King George V, only the children and grandchildren of the ruling monarch are entitled to be princes and princesses. And even Prince George was not entitled to it. The Queen made Prince George and Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis as her great-grandchildren in direct line of succession. They were allowed to become princes. But that was an exception. Harry and Meghan's children were never going to be that directly in the line of succession. And there was no way ever that they would be entitled to be prince or princess until such time as Harry's father acceded to the throne. And if Oprah didn't know this, she should have known it.
On one interview, a royal author, Lady Colin Campbell, delivered a scathing breakdown of the psychological dynamic on set. Lady C highlighted how Meghan's competitive antenna goes up the moment she encounters someone with natural, effortless charm. Poe is someone with a naturally effervescent personality. Meghan can't stand anyone who outstrips her in any way, shape, or form. Her competitive antenna was up, and she made sure Poe's jokes landed like thuds. It's very easy to curdle milk, and Meghan curdles milk at the drop of a hat. Dan Wootton also raised a massive point regarding the Sandringham Summit Agreement. The entire challenge was commercialized around the phrase, "a dish fit for a duchess." By using her official royal title to secure commercial entertainment gigs and massive network fees, critics argue Meghan is explicitly violating the terms set out by Queen Elizabeth II regarding the commercial monetization of royal status. This MasterChef incident doesn't exist in a vacuum. It fits into a multi-year pattern that royal watchers have tracked across continents. From Valentine Lowe's historic reporting on official HR bullying complaints inside Kensington Palace in 2018, to recent scathing reports in The Hollywood Reporter and legal claims involving charity partners, the consistent thread remains behind-the-scenes friction. Even high-profile allies are distancing themselves. Just look at Oprah Winfrey's recent interview in Vanity Fair, where she attempted to backtrack on her viral silent or silenced moment, claiming she was merely asking for clarification rather than endorsing the claim. When the biggest media figures in America begin rewording their past support, it signals a massive shift in how the Sussex brand is perceived globally. Whether on Australian television, Hollywood studios, or within palace walls, the gap between polished PR statements and real on-set experiences continues to widen. As public scrutiny intensifies across both the US and UK, strategic press denials can no longer erase first-hand accounts from staff and production insiders. What do you think about this latest MasterChef controversy? Did Poe get caught in unreasonable PR demands, or is this whole situation blown out of proportion? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update.